Hi everybody, my name is Anneke. I am 22 years old and I live in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I just wanted to share a little bit of my story with you guys today. It's quite a crazy one. Even to me still, I can't believe that this is me, that this is actually like a true story and something that is literally like a part of my family, I guess. Let's jump into it. So my dad was part of the AWB. Now the AWB, the abbreviation stands for Afrikaanse Weerstandsbeweging. Now that basically means I don't know what the word there's not really a word for it in English, but Afrikaner. So an Afrikaner would be like a white person in South Africa, basically, usually speaking the language Afrikaans. And then obviously the rest would be resistant movement. So it's Afrikaner resistant movement. That is what the AWB stands for. Now this group was a white supremacist parliamentary organization in South Africa. I think it was throughout about the 1980s, around there. And it is actually a neo-Nazi group. So even their flag, if you look it up, or maybe I'll even put a picture for you here, then you can see what it is. So basically, it's basically like Hitler's flag, like the Nazi flag. So absolute insane shit. I can't believe that people did this. It's just crazy to me. So basically what the AWB wanted to do, so like I said, it's like a white resistance movement in South Africa. So basically what they wanted to do is to keep South Africa as white as possible. They were an extremely racist group. They basically how like Hitler wanted to kill all of the Jews and all of the abuse that was towards the Jews and all of that. That was basically what was happening in this group, only in this group it was white people who wanted to get rid of black people, or colored people. They were very racist. They committed a lot of hate crimes towards people of color, and it is absolutely disgusting. And I do feel a little dirty that this was my dad that was part of this, but I mean, I didn't have any control of that. And to be honest, I only found out about this in this year. The reason therefore is because my dad actually passed away in the beginning of this year. I think it was in February of this year. He passed away in Germany. After that I wanted to do a little bit of research on my family. I talked to some of my family members, and that is when I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole about my dad. So I would find out then, after some research, there is a book. The book's name is Victory or Violence, The Story of the AWB. Now this book was written, I think it was about the 1990s or so. I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it. I think so. It was written by Arthur Kemp. You can look it up. You will find it on Google or so. I think you can even download a PDF if you want to take a little peek at the story of the AWB. There is a whole part in this book about my dad. It's crazy. I will read a little snippet to you about him, and let's get into that. So I'm not gonna read like a whole chapter to you guys. only the part that is about my dad. If you are interested in more about the AWB, please go and read Arthur Kemp's book. It has a lot of information about what happened, and yeah, it's quite interesting. But let me quickly read to you the part that I want to share to you today. So let me just give it a little context. There was a like a police sweep of the AWB. Now I'm not sure where it takes place. I didn't see it in this chapter, but yeah, basically there was just a security police sweep, and one of the people who then escaped was my dad. So I'm going to read from there. So, one of the men who escaped the security police sweep was a Dutch citizen, one Cornelius Kees Moes. Moes, who was later to be shown up in court as integral to the origin of the weapons involved in the case, was also accused by the AWB of being a security police agent and of having set up the entire incident. Moes, somehow tipped off that the arrests were coming, left the country a few days before the arrest and has never returned to South Africa. Now, I just want to go over this little chapter here. Basically, it was also believed that my dad was some kind of spy. I'm not sure what the name of that group was again. I can't remember what it was, but it's basically like a secret police group. Something like that. I just can't remember the name, but it's some kind of secret police group that was in South Africa. So he was also possibly a spy. And also here it says that he never returned to South Africa. Now, I'm not sure when this book was written. I do believe it was, let me actually quickly look up when this book was written, because now I'm let me just see, Victory or Violence, author. Let me just see if they tell me. So it was published in 1990. So here it says that he never returned to South Africa. So he would return in the late 1990s, which in that time he would then meet my mother. I believe it was 1999. And I was born in 2000. Okay. He did return to South Africa, and he was never caught during that time. He was living here probably for at least, I think it was about 10 years, and he was never caught. So that's just crazy to me as well, to know how anyone can really come to South Africa. There's no background searches or nothing. It's a little bit scary. We do have an extremely high rate of foreigners in the country, and that is because there's not really any system in place to try and keep foreigners to a limit, because obviously our country, our people from our country don't have jobs anymore. There is such a high unemployment rate in our country. I believe it's we have the highest one. Last time I checked it, we had the highest unemployment rate. So yeah, there's a little bit off topic, but that is due to a lot of foreigners coming in. And like my dad, he's also a foreigner. And even with these allegations against his name, he was almost caught. I will keep on reading now, then you will see there were actual court cases that were supposed to happen, which never did. So it's just a little scary to me how someone who committed these kinds of crimes were just allowed back into the country and was never caught. It's just a little bit crazy to me. But anyway, so I'm going to keep on reading. 3 months prior to the AWB arrest, Moes had been found guilty in the Pretoria Regional Court of being in the illegal possession of a number of dangerous firearms. including a stolen military missile, an unlicensed Soviet SKS semi-automatic rifle, a special pen which in James Bond style had been adapted to fire .22 bullets, a stolen rifle, camouflage uniforms which were then illegal for private possession in South Africa, and a two-way radio set. Now, all of the firearms and ammunition that are listed here, that is only tip of the iceberg. There were a lot more illegal ammunition, guns, tanks, like war machines, technically, that my dad brought into the country. Totally illegal. And this was basically because the AWB had a plan to overthrow the government, and they wanted to take control. And yeah, so let me keep on reading the next little paragraph here. Moose, who had entered South Africa only some 7 years previously, was also convicted of stealing 2 rifle magazines, a bayonet, and rifle parts. Found guilty on all charges, he was given a fine of 1,000 rand or 500 days in jail, plus a 9-month prison sentence suspended for 5 years. Now, this never happened. He fled the country and he was never caught. And also, to give you an idea, 1,000 rand in that time was a lot of money. Now it's worth next to nothing. Back then, the rand, comparing to the dollar and the euro, was very good. Right now, I think we're standing at about 16, 17 rand per dollar for, South African money. So it's a lot of money. It's not, that was a lot of money that time. I think in that time you could have bought a bread for like 10 cents or 5 cents or something. So just to give you an idea, 1,000 rand back then was a lot. Now you would be paying about almost $20 for a bread. So just to give you an idea of the inflation of the way money has, well, technically our money has just decreased in value so much. So yeah, 1,000 rand back then was a lot. Now it's almost nothing. Moose Jr. had started an estate agency in South Africa, Moose Estates, and had made a lot of money on commissions by selling property in the Elderrain and Halfway House areas between Johannesburg and Pretoria. It was here that he met people in the AWB who introduced him to Tab Blanche. Before long, Moose had been elected onto the AWB's executive body, and he took an active part in the running of the AWB. Moose was the origin of a large number of the automatic weapons which were later featured in the case. And although he himself never appeared in court, as he was long since in Europe, the judge named him as one of the chief culprits. He was summoned to appear in court in July 1983, but by then his wife and children had sold all the possessions in South Africa and had fled back to Holland. The 6 men who remained in custody appeared in the Pretoria Regional Court on Friday, December 24th, 1983, charged with contravening the Arms and Ammunition Act, the illegal possession of firearms and explosives. So this basically gives you a good idea of the person that my dad was. I mean, there's literally this whole book about it. It still blows my mind. So, yeah, and the firearms and everything that they had here, I mean, it's not even everything that he had. There were, as far as I understand, there were containers placed on farms that had all of the guns and ammunition and tanks and who knows what, which were then hidden away so that obviously police won't find it when they sweep the farms and so on. And they never did. So yeah, he got away with basically with murder, because I mean, bringing all of these illegal guns, ammunition, everything into the country, that can't be to save lives, that is to take lives, obviously. So this story is just crazy to me. So yeah, he was able to flee when he somehow was tipped off that the police were going to arrest the people that were part of this plan, and he somehow fled the country as soon as he could. Basically, he found it out the day. By the night, he was already on a flight to Amsterdam, and they never caught him. Yeah, and he left his family behind, so only him. He left his wife and his children in this country, and he just went over there and, yeah, basically abandoned them. So he's not a good person. I've known that a long time. When I was little, we were still living together. We only left my dad when I was about 8 years old. But always he had not been a kind, caring person. He had extreme anger issues. He would be angry a lot of the time. He would beat my brothers a lot. I was also beaten, given hidings and so on. A lot of the times I felt that it was very unnecessary. But I think he was lighter on me than he was on my brothers. My brothers, in my eyes, were abused. And yeah, I hate my dad. I really do. He's an evil man. And yeah, even though he's my dad, I have no regard for him. I don't. Yeah, he's a despicable person. Yeah. And where can I go on now? And yeah, since we left the farm in 2008, I was always afraid of my dad. Now, I didn't have an idea really of who he was and what kind of crimes he had committed. I was still just a child, but obviously now that I'm older, I found out a lot of stories about him that just disgust me. I can't stand him, and I know it's bad to say, but I'm glad he's not here anymore, because that was kind of like a burden lift off my shoulders. I was always afraid that he would somehow find out where I was, and he would kidnap me and take me overseas, and I would never see my family again. And this was also justified because he had made those kind of comments. He would say things to my mom like, he's going to kill her, or he's going to arrange for people to come and kill her, and they will never find her body, and he's going to take me overseas, and things like that. So it was horrible living with him. He was also in the later stage, before we left, he was becoming more and more abusive, more and more, physically, verbally. Just it was getting a little bit too much to handle, where at a stage I was actually the one to get my mom away from him. I called my grandparents. I told them, listen, we can't stay with this man any longer. It's not working, we're not happy. He's being extremely abusive against my mom. I don't know exactly what I said. I was only 8 years old, but that was basically the point I was trying to get across. And later that day, the police would actually show up at our house, and they took my mom and me away. And I believe that day they also inspected our house. They found a lot of his weapons that were mostly illegal, and they had also found a lot of listening devices in the house. I don't know if there were cameras, but I know they would definitely like devices listening to every word that we were saying. So he was basically just checking if me and my mom are saying anything, if my mom is making calls to people and trying to hear what she's saying, so that we could never, basically have the upper hand. He would also always know our next step. So it was really creepy to find out that someone had been listening to everything you do and say, and I don't know why a father would ever do that to his own children. Yeah, I just, yeah, this man really pisses me off. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Yeah, yeah, and you can also look up Mr. Eugene Terblanche. Now, there should be a few videos of him on YouTube. There's one specifically where he has this interview with a guy, and he's extremely rude to that guy. I laughed a lot at that video. It's just crazy how this guy is. He's just an extremist. He's absolutely crazy. Or was. He actually died about, I think it's almost more than 10 years ago now. He died. He was actually murdered in his house on his farm. And I think I understand why. I think people of color really got to hate this man for everything he was doing, because he was extremely racist. I believe he also had farm workers, which were people of color, and he treated them very badly. So yeah, that is why he was in the end murdered, I believe, for his belief, for his crimes, for everything that he did. Yeah, so you can probably also look that up. I'm sure you will see some. I believe there's even a photo of the scene of the crime, and there's probably also a few articles and so that you can maybe read if you are interested. If you're interested if you're interested in the book, which I read a part of, the book's name is Victory or Violence: The Story of the AWP of South Africa. So you can have a look at that if you are interested. And but yes, that's about it. I just wanted to share this story, which to me is still absolutely fucking bonkers. I can't believe this is my dad I'm talking about. But yeah, I think that's about it for today, guys. So thank you for listening to my crazy story, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like. I do really appreciate every single view, every single person who likes the video. It really means a lot to me. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. And that's it for today. So thank you very much, and see you in the next one.